Hi there, Ray here, and today the video is normal consoles versus handheld consoles. We will take a look at what they provide individually. After that we will take a look at the differences they have. Then we will take a look at performance, and after performance we will take a quick look at quality of life, the ease of use at everyday life, how comfortable are they and things like that. And in the end we will start talking about price before we start deciding which one is the best overall. And with that said, let's start with the video, normal consoles versus handheld consoles. So let's start with the normal consoles. And what do we have here? Here we have a good performing system that can run all the latest games. Well, it can run all the latest games you can download at least, and you can download almost every game. And there are a lot of games you can only play at console, but every console has its own games, so we will not get into more detail about that. But that is something worth thinking about when buying a console, because the games you might want to play might not be available, and if you want to play, for example, a Sony exclusive game on any other platform, good luck to you, my friend. But other than that, let's discuss what the console provides. And the normal consoles provides the system and one controller, and some cables here and there so you can connect your TV or monitor to the system, so you will need some kind of monitor to play the games. But let's be honest, we all have a TV or some kind of a monitor in our houses, so we will not consider the TV and the price. It will not get any disadvantages when we compare this to the handheld. But if you don't have a TV, again, this is something worth considering. But still, you get a good system, a quality controller, and you will be able to do anything you might want to do on a gaming console, and your system will be relevant for a long time. You will be able to run games on this system a really long time. And the reason is simple: they don't make consoles every year. Consoles are made every few years. And right now they're making consoles even rarely. And the reason for that is because when games are made with that exact hardware in mind. And what does that mean for the user? That is really good news for us. And there are two reasons for that. First, since the games are made for that hardware, that means that new gen consoles take a couple years to be made. And that means that we don't need to upgrade to play new games. At least we don't have to upgrade often, and that leads to the second reason. Since those games are made with that exact hardware in mind, that means that even games that are hard to run on a high-end PC, they will run perfectly on console, because that game was made just for that console. And when it comes to PCs, there are millions of hardware combinations that you can make on a PC. But let's stay at the console topic because there are a lot to talk about here. Now, when it comes to normal consoles, there are only two major companies that make console. And that is Sony, that makes Sony PlayStation 5. And then there's Microsoft that makes Xbox Series X. It makes Xbox Series S too, but we will not mention that in this video, and the reason is simple. It is a smaller, cheaper, and worse Xbox Series X. That's all to it. That's not to say that the Xbox Series S is bad. It is a really capable and cheap system, but the Xbox Series X is better than it in every way possible. That's why a lot of things that we will mention about the normal consoles will not include that console. And there are other companies that make consoles, but right now, let's be honest, these two are the only companies that are selling. These are the only companies that are relevant in the making of this video. That is what I mean. But it doesn't matter which system you choose. Both are capable. Both have almost the same performance. The only thing that you might want to look up before you buy is to look at the controllers and to look at the exclusive games. These are the two main differences in these systems. That's all. They are really similar. Okay, their shapes are different, but when we look at what they can do, they are really similar. And that's almost all when it comes to the normal consoles. So let's move on to handheld consoles. And here we have a couple companies that make handhelds consoles. And there are only two that are relevant. First, the Switch, and that system is made by Nintendo, and the second that is relatively new is the Steam Deck, made by Valve Corporation. And before you jump and say that the Steam Deck is a PC, hear me out. First, in PC, you can change a lot of the parts. You can change the GPU and CPU. Here you cannot do that. So when you buy the system, it is what it is. It's like the console. And second, just like in console and the Steam Deck, there are a lot of games that are being tested. If they can run on Steam Deck, just so you know what you can and cannot run. And again, you cannot do that. When it comes to the PC, you have to figure that thing out yourself. And the third reason, there are a lot of people that consider the Steam Deck a console and they use the Steam Deck as a console. So in this video we will use the Steam Deck as a console, and I know here are a lot of other handheld consoles, but to be honest, the Switch is better than them when it comes to playing games, the feel of the games and other stuff. And if we compare the performance, the Steam Deck leaves them in the dust. So we will just take these two examples so the video isn't 1 hour long. And what do these consoles provide? and there are a lot of good things about these consoles. First, when you buy them you can just play games straight out of the box, you don't need anything else. But for example, if you want to play with it like you would play with a normal console you can still do that, but the handhelds are really capable even if you just play with them. They have their battery so you don't have to be near the adapter all the time, and they are small so you can take them wherever you want and you can play wherever you want and whenever you want. This is the main difference between the normal console and the handheld console, but we will talk about the differences a little bit later in the video, so if you don't want to miss that, stay tuned. So when you buy a handheld console, what do you get in the box? And it is pretty much like a phone, just a lot bigger than the phone. It has everything, the screen and the things you need to play the games, and they are all attached to the screen. I know you might have known that by the name handheld, but I will specify anyway. And this again, just like the normal console, it is a really capable system and it can run almost any game, and when it comes to the supported games, it can run all of those, so there are a lot of games that can be played on any of these systems. And just like the normal console, these have their exclusive games, while the Switch has its exclusive games. And it has a lot of good games in there, but that is beside the point. But before you decide which one is the best, let's take a look at the differences. And even though they both are consoles, they have a lot differences. So without wasting more of your time, let's start with console versus handheld, and let's see what are the differences, so we can understand why someone would choose one over the other. And here let's start with the benefits the normal console provides over the handheld one, and it has to do all about performance. And let's start there, at performance. First, when it comes to consoles compared to the handhelds, they can run many more games, and the reason is simple. When it comes to games that need more performance, the console provides that so they can play those games. But that's not to say that the performance does not help you when it comes to other games, because it does. If you have the same game running on a handheld and on the normal console, the game would just run smoother on the normal console, and it will run on a higher resolution, so it would look sharper, so it is smoother and better looking at the same time. But since we have more performance here, it means that we can do other things here that we cannot do on the handheld, or maybe we can, but not to the same degree we do in the normal console, and that is multiplayer. And when I say multiplayer, I know you can play games on the handheld too, and those games can be played on multiplayer, but in this case I mean the multiplayer in one system. When it comes to the Switch or when it comes to the Steam Deck, there just cannot be more than one player, and sometimes there are games that can. But when it comes to consoles, there are just way more games that support split screen, and you can just have a blast playing those games with your friends on the same console on the same screen. And sometimes there can be up to 4 players on the same console, and that is just great. You can have a lot of fun playing with your close friends on the same room, on the same screen, on the same game, and that is just great. I love that about the console. Or maybe it's just me, I used to play a lot of games that way. I don't know if you did the same. If you did, comment down below which console you use and what games you play the most. But now let's move the handheld. And okay, they might not have performance on their side, but they have a lot of things going for them, so stay tight and let's go into it. And first, let's start with portability. Well, this is the main reason why people buy these consoles. You can take them with you everywhere and just start playing games. That's the beauty of the handhelds. Second, even if you are at home, you don't need a TV or anything like that. You can just take your earphones and then you are ready to play as much as you want. That is what is great about the handheld console, and it doesn't take space near your TV. I know it is not a difference, but a lot of people don't want a console near their TV, so it is what it is. So it isn't anything special, but it has a lot of things that you might want your future console to have. And now with that said, let's go and see how they affect our day-to-day life. Which one would be better in our day-to-day life? And again, let's start with the console. Even though it is more like a compression, so it's faster, it has sharper images, it has more performance, but you are limited to one place at your house, wherever the TV is. When you want to play games, you will be there, and if someone wants to watch a movie on that TV, then tough luck, you cannot play. And doesn't matter how you feel, you cannot go anywhere else and play games, that's it. But the handheld is different. Since it is small, you can go wherever you want. And it has a battery, so even if you are not inside the house, again, that is not a problem. And if someone bothers you, just go lock up yourself in your bedroom and play some video games. This is something you just cannot do with the normal console. And there is one more benefit: since it is small and has the screen attached to the joysticks, you can play it in any position you want. And I know on the normal console you can lay down however you want, but when looking at the TV you can be at bad angles. But the handheld does not have that problem. Wherever your hands are, your screen will be there, so it is all good when it comes to handhelds. So for performance, the normal console takes the win. but when it comes to comfort, ease of use and things like that, you cannot compete with something that is portable. But what about the price? And the consoles go for anywhere from $250 to $500, but if we are being honest, the handhelds are always a little cheaper than the normal consoles, even though the handhelds have a battery and a screen, which I will remind you the normal console does not have. So when it comes to price, the handhelds are cheaper, so we will give this win to the handheld. And with that said, let's see which one is the best overall, and let's just take a really quick look at the benefits one provides before we make that decision. So the console had more performance, it had a couple more things, but they are not worth mentioning in this quick review, and the console was portable and cheaper. So which one is the winner? And to be honest, if we look at the things they do, the portable consoles have grown up so much and can do so much more. That's my opinion, they are the winner. But with that said, I love the consoles, and if you are someone who wants to have that performance or wants to play at 4K, the handheld will not do that, at least not at its current state. So if you want performance, go with the console, but if you want portability, if you are someone who just wants to play games on the bus or in the car and just doesn't have that much time at home, by all means buy a handheld console. So yeah, the winner is the handheld console. It just has come a long way, and it can almost do everything the normal console does. But if you are like me, you still want the performance and don't want to make any kind of compromise on that, you should buy a console. And with that said, we are nearing the end of this video, so thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like; if you didn't, dislike; if you have something to say, comment down below. And if you want to see more content like this or tech-related videos, then subscribe so you don't miss the next video. This was Ray, and I will see you in the next one.